Hugh Freeze addressed the media, and it's more of the same, but if you look deep, there may be some changes coming.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with Montgomery radio legend, the Darrell Dapprich. Hugh Freeze just got done doing his weekly press conference with the local media, and Darrell, he talked up Kentucky. We'll talk about that in a second, but a lot of this was more of the same, saying, hey, we thought we'd be farther along. Hey, we're still kind of hoping certain guys pan out and do more. A lot of it was more of the same, but there were a few kind of differences that we may have been able to pick out on Monday.
Yeah, I want to first start with the overall demeanor, body language. Yeah. And Hugh Freeze is a guy that carries himself very confidently with a lot of swag when we've seen him in person at other events. I noticed a decided difference in this press conference early on when he was talking about how they are losing games, how as a head coach of 30-something years, he's never had a losing regular season record. And he stopped and kind of gazed off into the distance, into the land of nowhere. And for the first time, to me, seemed like he didn't have the answers. Not the answers is what to say in this press conference.
Is it bad that I kind of like that? It's like, because sometimes he's so confident and like just kind of says stuff. And I mean, he's nailed the talking points so far this season. I want to see that it bothers him.
Yeah, I saw a different loss for words, not only in the press conference, but I'm going to take this a little deeper. A loss of words to how to get it corrected and figured out, like, how do you explain why we keep losing the way we do if you're Hugh Freeze? And so I saw some vulnerability. I saw a lack of confidence in a way. And yeah, he doesn't have all the answers. And for us to keep pretending that he does, he just needs to be truthful and honest and say, this is not something that's is fixable right now. I don't have the answers on how to fix it. And it's historical. And so he kind of seemed at a loss for words.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've seen that in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't hate it because, I don't know, sometimes it seems like he goes up and addresses the media and it's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. And it's like, is it fine? And, you'll throw out the excuses or, it was always about the third season, even though when he first got here, the first thing out of his mouth was how quickly he turns programs around. And so it's like, what changed there? But all of a sudden now you're seeing him almost looking for answers, to use the way that you described it. And I mean, he needs to find them.
It's his job to find them.
It's his job to find them and to find them quickly. Yeah. But also, like, I mean, they are close. But at this point, like, I'm just tired of close.
You know what I want to say, too? It's his job to find the right answers, the solutions to the problem.
Yes.
But it's also his job to eliminate the wrong answers. That's what needs to start to happen. The things that and we'll talk about that because there's a couple of players that he mentioned by name that to me is leaning towards eliminating, parsing down the wrong answers.
Well, yeah, let's jump into that. Percy Lewis, and that's a guy that you've kind of gone after several times, including right after the game. Played 3 snaps, played that first drive. Then they pulled him. They scooted Dylan Wade to left tackle, and they put I'm blanking on his name, the young guard who's been surprisingly great.
Braden Joyner?
Yes, Braden Joyner, thank you, at left guard. And, I mean, Hugh Freeze kind of didn't hold back with talking about Percy Lewis today, saying, like, well, he didn't really block anybody. And that's what you've said, Darrell, over and over and over again. It's a little different when we say it versus when your head coach says it.
But he gave a reason why.
Yeah, sure.
He said that defensive fronts have scouted Auburn and are replicating what other teams are doing to give them problems. And when that movement happens and the defensive line shifts, I like to call it the Belichick shift. When the defensive line shifts in front of them and they move, it gives him problems, and he blocks nobody.
Yes.
Well, I mean, again,
can't do that. Can't do that.
They're seeing that. Your own coaching staff should see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, okay, should they have made this change earlier? I don't know. I mean, they made it pretty early in the Mizzou game, but should this have happened a few weeks ago? I don't know. Another potential personnel move that we saw, he was asked about, I think Bill Cameron asked it, about the kicking situation. I mean, Towns Magoo has not been great this year as a true freshman. Freeze said if they got the opportunity to kick another, I think he said 35 yards or shorter, if they got within the 35 yards, that they were going to give Alex McPherson a chance to kind of return to his job from a season ago, which is great news. One, because he's a dang good kicker, but also it means he must be getting back to full health, which is the most important thing here is him getting healthy as a human. So I thought both of those comments were interesting.
The most important thing is what you just said. And what I'm going to say right now is nowhere near as important as Alex McPherson being healthy. But I guess my question would be is, you've seen Towns Magoo struggle at times this year, including missing a chip shot field goal. Why do you decide to go to him the second time and not just go ahead and let him kick the 30-yarder the first time? I don't know. I mean, I guess because Magoo hadn't missed one since Oklahoma, but a chip shot anyway. Maybe that's the time to utilize him. And because he said Alex McPherson told him, I'm good from 35 in. Well, that's a 30-yarder. You've seen Towns struggle at that distance. You can't fool around. You got to make that field goal. Run McPherson out there. Don't wait till Magoo fails to try it. That's the problem. Adjusting after the failures is what's gotten Auburn to this position.
Yeah, it's a very reactive coaching staff.
There you go.
Like, not proactive.
Not proactive.
And that's got to change. So we'll see if it does against Kentucky. He said a lot of things about Kentucky as well as other guys on the roster. We'll jump into all that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Z-Biotic. Z-Biotic, this is the greatest thing to avoid being hungover. Who likes being hungover, Darrell? No one. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, which is what this product is, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on, having a normal Saturday because of Z-Biotic's pre-alcohol. So step one, you drink the pre-alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step two, you drink responsibly. And step three, you enjoy the next day. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use code LockedOnCollege at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you the money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for 15% off at checkout. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Darrell, Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. It doesn't matter what it's for. You and I have both used Game Time. We use Game Time exclusively when buying tickets.
Absolutely. Concerts, comedy shows, theater, sporting events, like the Lightning deals. Make sure you use the toggle feature if you want to see all the fees and stuff up front.
Yep, that's right. And they've got Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you the only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LockedOnCollege for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it?
Game time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. So, Darrell, he talked up Kentucky. He kind of said, hey, they know. Mark Stoops knows we're going to try to run the football against them. And so this is going to be this is going to be another game plan, I think, where this is going to be all on Peyton Thorne, which we've seen how that's gone so far this season. But on the show that we did this morning, like, I kind of gave Freeze credit. Like, they are trying different things, just it doesn't feel like it because the results are all the same. I'm curious to see how they attack Kentucky. To me, I still think you keep it on the ground and try to make it as simple as possible for Peyton Thorne. But at this point of the season, it is kind of ridiculous that you're even having to think that way because you have a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those situations where Kentucky's got a top 4 defense in the conference.
Yeah,
top 3 defense against the run. the Florida game was kind of a one-off. I don't think that's who they are.
Sure.
So Kentucky is going to be very, very straightforward in what they're going to try to do. They're going to say, we stop the run very, very well. We want you to make Peyton Thorne beat us. They're going to load the box. And I just think Auburn's going to have a hard time running the football against Kentucky. Now, the good news is Kentucky is abysmal offensively, like bottom 3 in the conference. So if you're Auburn and you can get a couple of scores and get it into the low 20s, you got a good chance to win the game because of Kentucky's passing game. People want to talk about Peyton Thorne. Vandergriff has been awful, and their passing game has been awful.
Yeah.
So Auburn can do the same thing. They can kind of pin their ears back and try to stop the run. But again, I don't see how Auburn's going to run the ball effectively on Kentucky. Peyton Thorne's going to we talk about Peyton Thorne. Oh, well, he played better. He didn't. It's not because of Peyton Thorne that Auburn lost that game. I'll go back to that point. It's okay to have a quarterback win you a game. And this to me is the only shot that Auburn has to win this game is that Peyton Thorne and the receivers are going to have to make some plays. But even then, Kentucky's not bad against the pass. They're pretty good against the pass too. They are good overall defensively. They just really specialize in stopping the run.
Anything else that Freeze said that was interesting? Jason Caldwell asked them about, could you imagine this time a few months ago that you're starting, Jay Crawford and Kinsley Faustin at outside corners? Like, that's pretty amazing to think about, which also goes back to the fact of, like, we're all begging him to play younger guys. He's doing it. For the most part, he's doing it across the board. Anything else that he said today that kind of stood out to you?
Well, he said he verified and validated, I think, what a lot of the fan base has been saying for the last month is this coaching staff is coaching not to lose instead of coaching to win. He said it. He said, we're play calling in certain situations not to lose because we feel like these kids deserve more. And we're like, we got to keep them out of this situation that could impact them losing the game. And what's happened is against Oklahoma and against Missouri, that's exactly what ended up coming to fruition. They've lost the game because they're coaching not. And if they're coaching that way, the players are playing that way. That was very telling to me that he's admitting that.
Yeah. Why? I love the transparency, but it's like, I just wonder, like, what he gets out of admitting that publicly. That's just a tough thing, but I'm never going to fault him for being honest at the podium. That's what we all ask for. So, but it looks like it. Like, it looks like they're playing, when they have a lead, they're playing to not lose. They're not playing to win. So that's concerning. I think that falls under the culture category, and that's on the head coach and the coaching staff. So we'll see if they play to not win or to win, or excuse me, they play to not lose or to win on Saturday against Kentucky. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, Dapp6410, Instagram, Darrell Dapp, and then I'm with you 3 times a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then our reaction shows and our live shows.
That's right.
Right after, because on the road games we do both.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So be sure to check that out. You can also find all of our written stuff at thebarnauburn.com. First month is just $1. Go check it out. It's about to get real fun on the recruiting trail. So go ahead and hop over at thebarnauburn.com. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.